After the failed construction fiasco, I assumed the HOA might finally grasp the futility of attempting to interfere with my ranch. I was wrong. Their next scheme was audacious in a new and, frankly, absurd way. They decided to build a road directly through my property. According to them, the road was community infrastructure, intended to improve access for residents, despite the fact that it cut through private ranchland that had never been part of the HOA's jurisdiction. When I first received notice of the project, I could hardly believe it. The HOA had commissioned engineers, surveyors, and construction crews to begin planning the road. Karen, of course, was the self-proclaimed project manager, issuing directives and imagining herself as a benevolent overseer of shared community access. I immediately began assessing the situation. The proposed road would intersect my ranch in multiple locations, potentially disrupting livestock grazing, heritage crop areas, and water access points. It would also create significant liability, as uncontrolled traffic could lead to accidents on my property. I realized that this wasn't just an intrusion, it was an opportunity to turn their arrogance into leverage. I began a multi-step plan. First, I thoroughly documented every inch of the proposed road. Survey maps, property deeds, legal notices, photographs of the terrain, and existing structures were meticulously gathered. I also placed hidden markers and cameras to monitor any unauthorized access during the planning phase. Every step taken by the HOA could now be tracked and recorded. Next, I considered the leverage inherent in their actions. A road requires access, and access requires my consent. Using this principle, I decided to implement a toll system. Any vehicle entering my property via the road would be legally required to pay for access. I installed automated toll gates at every entry point, equipped with cameras, sensors, and remote payment processing. The system was fully operational before the HOA realized what had happened. The first morning the construction crews arrived, Karen was leading the charge, clipboard in hand. Bulldozers were lined up, ready to break ground. I met them at the main entry point. "Good morning," I said pleasantly. "I see you're here to begin your road project. May I remind you that this is private property?" Karen waved her arms dismissively. "This is for the community," she insisted. "We have permits, plans, and the HOA's approval. You cannot stop progress." I nodded, activating the toll system. A large sign illuminated with flashing lights. "Private property, toll required, $1,000 PR entry." Cameras focused on each vehicle, recording license plates, timestamps, and operator identities. The crews tried to argue, claiming they had the right to enter, but the legal reality was unavoidable. I owned the land, controlled access, and had documented authority. Within hours, the first vehicles attempting to enter the proposed road were billed $1,000 per entry. Karen's face turned pale as she realized the financial implications. The HOA had intended to create a free access route through my property, and instead, each attempt now carried a significant, unavoidable cost. I allowed the road planning to continue under strict observation. Any trespassers or unauthorized vehicles were photographed, billed, and recorded. The automated toll system created both a deterrent and a source of compensation for the intrusion. By midday, Karen and the board were scrambling, trying to coordinate alternative access, appease contractors, and justify the unexpected fees. The situation escalated further when legal notices arrived for overdue toll payments. The HOA board realized they had no recourse. Challenging the tolls would require acknowledging my ownership and access rights, and any attempt to bypass them would constitute additional trespassing and liability. Their frustration was palpable, their credibility rapidly diminishing in the eyes of the community. Meanwhile, I used the opportunity to implement further improvements to the ranch. Fencing along the proposed road, security cameras, and reinforced barriers ensured that unauthorized access was impossible. Ranger patrolled the toll points, signaling that enforcement was immediate and unavoidable. The road, once intended to disrupt my property, became a controlled access point fully under my authority. Karen, predictably, attempted to rally support from the HOA members, framing me as unreasonable and obstructive. But every claim she made was countered by legal documentation, property deeds, and records of the automated toll system. The HOA's arrogance, once again, had been turned into a demonstration of my authority, strategy, and legal foresight. By the end of the week, the road remained under my control. The construction crews had ceased work, contractors were reluctant to proceed without explicit authorization, and the HOA members were faced with mounting toll bills they could not avoid. Karen's attempts at negotiation, appeals, and threats were systematically neutralized by careful documentation and legal authority. Standing on the hill overlooking the ranch, watching the automated toll gates flash in the sunlight, I reflected on the sequence of escalating conflicts. Each previous incident, from explosive gates, mailbox attacks, unauthorized rentals, to lake manipulations, had built toward this moment. A perfect demonstration of preparation, legal mastery, and strategic enforcement. Ranger lay nearby, tail wagging lazily, while I contemplated the ultimate lesson for the HOA. Attempting to assert control without ownership, without authority, and without preparation is a path to financial, legal, and reputational disaster. The road they had intended to build to dominate my property had instead become a symbol of their failure, a testament to my planning, and a lucrative tollway reminding them of the consequences of overreach. As the sun set over the ranch, casting long shadows across the toll gates and cleared paths, I realized that the HOA had learned, once again, in the most spectacularly expensive way possible, that my authority over the ranch was absolute. Every attempt to infringe upon it had been transformed into an advantage, each act of arrogance converted into documented leverage. The road, once intended to assert their control, now existed solely as a reminder that on my property, consequences were inevitable, strategic, and inescapable.